Mazda 2 received another facelift, a bigger Mazda badge, different front mask, and rear bumper design. It now also sports electric folding side mirrors, automatic rain-sensing wipers, and lower CO2 emissions. Unfortunately, I think Mazda's smallest model is slowly but surely fading away, as more and more people want SUVs and crossovers. Perhaps they will, just like with the hybrid model, collaborate with Toyota and take their Yaris Cross, which is a small crossover. But this is sad news to me, as the Mazda 2 is a big piece of chocolate cake. That's how sweet it is. Wow. I haven't driven a Mazda 2 in forever. I cannot really remember the last time I did. It's been a long time. And in this time, I had already forgotten what a cute little thing this is. I mean, it's not really that little, to be completely honest. There's quite a bit of space inside. But it only becomes apparent of what a cute, sweet little thing this is once you start driving it. Because you realize how nice everything is. The gearbox, the steering wheel, the feel of the road, this gas engine. It's really, the best word to describe it is sweet. As I always say, I like Mazdas because they feel very solid, very high quality, very nice to be in, and very nice to drive. But this Mazda 2 still gave me a bit of a shocker, a positive shocker, because I've driven plenty of cars by now, very powerful cars, very luxurious cars, very cheap cars as well. And once you start doing that and you get a tiny, small little car like this, you don't really expect much. You're not going to be bashing it for being small or cheap, for example, but you don't really expect to have your mind blown. It's going to be a nice little transport with some luxuries inside, probably. But no, this Mazda 2 really, really surprised me. After about 10-20 minutes of driving it, I was falling in love with it, and I still am. It really is just a very, very sweet little car that does so many things right. So how about I stop being so vague and just giving it praise, but not exactly saying what I'm giving it praise for? Wow, those are some beautiful mountains. Anyway, like I said, the gearbox is fantastic. Actually, it feels even slightly notchier and better mechanically than other Mazda models, except of course the MX-5. The MX-5 is just the creme de la creme, the golden standard of manual transmissions. But it is very notchy, very mechanical, very satisfying to use. I would say even better than the Mazda 3 perhaps. And I'm not sure why, but yeah, it is. Then you have just the feeling on the road. It's actually a pretty comfortable car for having a shorter wheelbase, and the steering wheel is very nice. Of course, I do have to mention that this Mazda 2 has practically all the optional extras. It's top of the line. It's got leather seating, leather steering wheel. I've got heated seats. I've got a heated steering wheel. I've got this upgraded infotainment screen, which is now, it's not as big as in the other models, but it's higher resolution and it looks a lot nicer. Although I do have to say the rear view camera is still pretty grainy. The rear view camera could use a bit of an upgrade, to be completely honest, but it's usable. And all this other stuff. The engine is such a sweet little thing. It's only got 1.5 liters. It's got no turbo, so it's old school style. You have to really shift it to get it into higher RPMs, like most of the non-turbo Mazda engines, or any non-turbo engine really, for that matter. But it's really sweet, and it just sips fuel. It sips fuel. What is the fuel consumption then? Well, Right now, my average fuel consumption is 5.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty respectable. But this really is a city run-around car, especially in the suburbs where there's not that much stopping and starting. So if you do that, I have managed to get it down to 4.2 liters per 100 kilometers, driving normally, a little bit economically perhaps, and it was still dropping. So I do believe that if you were to drive it really, really carefully, really economically, you could definitely get it to 3.8, 3.7 something. So very, very good for an engine that still gives you 115 horsepower in a lighter, smaller car like this. Yes, on the motorway, it is going to drink a lot more. On the motorway, expect around 6.5 liters of fuel consumption at 130 kilometers per hour. So your average is going to go up. But like this, in the city and in the suburbs, it really just sips the fuel. On the motorway, you do feel the lack of a turbo. You do feel that it's not a diesel, so you don't really have that instant torque. So if you're in 6th or even 5th, you're going to miss the torque if you're trying to overtake something. So definitely need to put it into 4th, or maybe even 3rd if you're going slower. But you know, that's fine. It's completely fine. The nicest thing is this car is very, very civilized and nice to drive in the suburbs, but it'll do motorway driving no problem. It even sounds good, this engine, with the exhaust system. It's got a slightly throaty sound. I really like that, but it's not obnoxious. At 130 kilometers per hour, yes, it's a little bit louder. It's at around 3,100 RPMs in 6th. But it's not obnoxious, although you might get tired if you were to really take it on long trips, you know, just driving the entire day for like 10 hours or something. But it's already falling, 5.1 liters per 100 kilometers. It really is a very, it's a sweet little engine. That's what I keep saying. Sweet. This car is so sweet. It's not very often that I test cars and I sort of make this odd connection with the car where you say, this car really has character. It has a soul or something. There's been very few cars that I thought about like that. And this is one of them. The more I drive it, the more I feel like, you know, you're a little character. You're cute, you're sweet. I like driving you. I like sitting in here. It's very nice. And you just sip fuel, you just go just a little bit, don't need much. Especially in these times, that's excellent. No, I'm very impressed by this car. Like I said, I wasn't expecting much. It was gonna be a nice little Mazda, sure, but this is so nice. This is so nice. I would be quite happy actually having and buying this car.
The base Mazda 2 starts at 16,000 euros. For a fully loaded model with the most powerful gas engine and extras, you'll be paying just over 24,000 euros.